When life prepares something extraordinary for you, it rarely announces it with noise. It arrives quietly through symbols, synchronicities, and subtle inner shifts. Many of you who feel different, who carry the sense of being chosen without fully understanding why, are standing at the edge of a relationship that will defy expectation. Not because it is dramatic or glamorous, but because it is deeply aligned with your inner evolution. For a long time, you've walked a path where you felt unseen, misunderstood, or misinterpreted by the world around you. You sensed that your heart operated on a different frequency, one that required depth, honesty, and soul-level recognition. You were never meant for shallow attachments or temporary chapters. You were being prepared through solitude, through longing, through repeating karmic cycles for a connection that mirrors who you are becoming, not who you once were. This next relationship will shock people because they only know the surface version of you. They know your history, your scars, your patterns. They do not see the silent transformation occurring beneath your exterior. They do not feel the quiet strength that has been forming in your unconscious, the place where all true change takes root. They cannot perceive the archetype rising within you, the healer, the creator, the intuitive, the one who transforms pain into power. When two individuals meet at the level of the unconscious, the attraction transcends logic. You will feel pulled toward this person not because of appearance, status, or circumstance, but because their presence awakens something ancient inside you. It will feel as if you've known them across lifetimes, even if you are meeting for the very first time. This sense of recognition is what will shock you most, not the person themselves, but the way your soul responds to them. The world will be surprised because they expected you to repeat your past. They expected you to choose familiarity over growth, predictability over transformation. But this time, something within you refuses to settle. You are no longer guided by wounds, but by wisdom. You are no longer choosing from fear, but from intuition. And when someone aligns with that inner truth, the connection becomes undeniable. This relationship will not simply enter your life. It will call forth parts of you that have been waiting to emerge. It will demand authenticity, vulnerability, and courage. It will ask you to step into the fullness of who you are, not the version conditioned by old patterns. This union will be powerful because it begins from the inside. It is not a search for someone to complete you, but a recognition that both of you are walking mirrors, reflecting strength, shadow, and possibility. You may find yourself shocked by how naturally things unfold, how barriers that once felt impossible dissolve, how fear gives way to clarity. What once hurt you becomes irrelevant. What once confused you becomes illuminated. This relationship will not be built on fantasy. It will be built on deep psychological resonance. A connection of this magnitude does not entertain chaos, it integrates it. It does not fear the unknown, it embraces it. Prepare yourself, not by seeking, but by grounding. Strengthen your inner world, because the kind of love coming toward you responds to authenticity, not performance. It arrives when your inner and outer selves become aligned. And when it does appear, you will recognize it instantly, not because it matches your expectations, but because it awakens your soul. You are not moving toward an ordinary relationship. You are moving toward a destiny encounter, something rare, something transformative, something that alters the trajectory of both lives involved. The world may be shocked, but deep inside you will feel the quiet truth. You were always meant to meet this person after becoming who you are now. And when it happens, you will not just fall in love. You will remember who you were always meant to be. Your inner transformation has prepared you for a relationship that aligns with your evolved self, not your past self. And this preparation has been taking place quietly, almost invisibly, in the deeper layers of your psyche where true change is born. For a long time, you may have wondered why certain connections never lasted, why certain people drifted away, or why you repeatedly found yourself standing at emotional crossroads that forced you to confront parts of yourself you didn't fully understand. What looked like setbacks on the surface were actually initiations, subtle invitations to evolve beyond the patterns that once defined your relationships. Every disappointment, every heartbreak, every moment of loneliness has acted as a chisel shaping you from within, not to break you, but to bring forth a truer version of your identity, one that is finally ready for a different kind of bond. This inner evolution has been slow, often uncomfortable, and marked by phases in which you felt disconnected from the world around you, because you were in the process of shedding older versions of yourself that no longer aligned with the path you were destined to walk. You may have noticed that your values have begun to shift, your expectations have deepened, and the way you understand love has grown more refined, more grounded, and more intuitive, as if something inside you has been quietly reconfiguring your emotional blueprint. As you moved through these internal transformations, old desires began to lose their hold on you, while new longings emerged, longings that felt more like recognition than aspiration. You started to see that companionship was not simply about finding someone who fits your external life, but someone who resonates with the internal landscape you've been cultivating. This landscape includes your shadows, your wounds, your resilience, your insight, and parts of you that once remained hidden even from yourself. Through solitude and introspection, you have developed a deeper relationship with your own complexity, allowing you to seek a connection that does not fear emotional depth but welcomes it. What once overwhelmed you has become familiar, and what once confused you has become part of your intuitive understanding of love. This transformation did not take place through conscious effort alone. It was guided by the unconscious force within you that push for integration, wholeness, and alignment, even when you do not realize they are at work. Those forces shape your intuition, your instincts, and your emotional reaction, slowly guiding you toward a relationship that reflects your inner growth. People around you may not see these changes because internal evolution rarely makes noise. It does not demand attention or validation. Instead, it shifts your energy subtly, altering the way you perceive connection, the way you navigate emotional boundaries, and the way you respond to others. You may have outgrown certain dynamics without even trying to, simply because your inner world is no longer compatible with them. This is how your psyche protects you from repeating cycles that would limit your growth. As you evolve internally, you attract different experiences, and the kind of relationship you are moving toward is shaped by this very evolution. Your past relationships served a purpose, but they belonged to a version of you that no longer exists. The new version of yourself requires a connection that resonates at a deeper psychological and spiritual frequency, one rooted in authenticity, mutual awakening, and emotional truth. This preparation becomes evident in your increasing clarity about what you want and what you will no longer tolerate. Where you once compromised out of fear or uncertainty, you now stand firm in your values because they are no longer abstract ideas but lived understandings shaped by real experiences. Where you once sought approval, you now seek resonance. Where you once accepted half-hearted connections, you now desire alignment. And these desires do not come from idealism, they come from recognition, from a deeper knowing that your past self did not yet have access to. Your growth has redefined your concept of partnership by shifting your focus from external compatibility to internal congruence. And this shift is precisely what prepares you for a relationship that mirrors your current level of self-awareness and emotional maturity. This next relationship does not originate from the same emotional place your past connections came from. It does not emerge from unhealed wounds or unconscious patterns, but from a more integrated and conscious self. You are no longer searching for someone to fill a void or validate your worth. You are seeking someone who can walk beside you as an equal, someone whose presence feels like an extension of your inner balance rather than a temporary escape from your inner chaos. This shift in intention alters everything from the kind of individuals you draw into the way you communicate, connect, and build emotional intimacy. You have begun to understand that love is not found through effort or pursuit but through alignment. And alignment requires a level of inner stability that you have earned through your journey. Your transformation has also heightened your sensitivity to energies, patterns, and emotional signals, giving you the ability to sense when something is real and when something is merely familiar. Familiarity once held power over you, leading you back into cycles that felt comfortable but unfulfilling. Now, familiarity no longer seduces you because you have learned to recognize its limitation. What calls to you now is depth, authenticity, and resonance, qualities that only appear when two individuals meet from a place of inner truth. This is why the relationship ahead of you will feel different, as if the universe is responding directly to the person you have become. Every internal shift, every moment of healing, every difficult realization has been shaping you for a connection that requires exactly this level of readiness. You are not stepping into an ordinary relationship, but into one that reflects your inner transformation with remarkable clarity. It is a relationship that aligns with your evolved self, because it is born from the same psychological, emotional, and spiritual depth that you have cultivated within yourself. And as you continue walking this path, you will begin to sense that something in the unseen world has already begun aligning in your favor. preparing to meet you at the exact point where your inner and outer worlds finally match. Your next connection will feel destined, marked by deep unconscious recognition and powerful synchronicity. And this sense of destiny does not arise from fantasy, but from the quiet orchestration of inner forces that have been guiding you long before you realized you were being led. There are encounters in life that seem almost accidental, yet they carry the weight of something far older, as if the moment itself has been waiting for both individuals to evolve to the point where the meeting can finally occur. This is the nature of the connection that awaits you, one that does not appear as a random event, but as a psychological and spiritual convergence shaped by the rhythms of your inner world. You will feel drawn without needing an explanation, pulled by an invisible thread that resonates with the deepest parts of your psyche, where memory, intuition, and instinct merge into a quiet certainty that you have known this soul far longer than your mind can comprehend. It is a recognition that bypasses logic because it belongs to a realm beyond ordinary perception. There are relationships that begin with sparks of excitement or the thrill of novelty, but this relationship emerges with an almost haunting familiarity, as if you are picking up a conversation that began long before either of you could articulate it. This familiarity is not comfort alone. It is the echo of shared psychological patterns, mirrored wounds, parallel transformations, and the unconscious longing for a connection that reflects your hidden depths. When this person enters your life, the timing will feel almost impossible to ignore. You may look back at the events that led you to that moment and realize how each twist, each delay, each unexpected change shaped the path that allowed this encounter to unfold. It will feel as though life arranged itself not for convenience, but for spiritual alignment, ensuring that when the two of you meet as the versions of yourselves who are ready to recognize one another. Synchronicities will begin to intensify around this time, not necessarily in dramatic signs, but through subtle repetitions that nudge your awareness towards something meaningful taking shape. You may start noticing patterns in numbers, symbols, dreams, or recurring themes in your thoughts. You may feel a sudden shift in your emotional atmosphere, a sense of anticipation that you cannot explain but also cannot ignore. These are not coincidences. They are signals from the unconscious preparing you for a connection that belongs to your deeper narrative rather than your surface story. The unconscious communicates through symbols, sensations, and intuitive pulls, and before destined encounter, these signals often become louder, guiding you toward the person who is about to mirror parts of yourself you have never fully seen. When you meet this person, the recognition may arrive instantly, not as a dramatic revelation, but as an inner quiet, where everything feels strangely aligned. There is an immediate understanding, a sense of being seen without needing to speak, as if your emotional frequency finds its match in their presence. Conversations flow effortlessly, not because you are trying, but because your inner worlds are already familiar with each other. You may find that your past experiences, traumas, and awakenings parallel theirs in ways that defy coincidence. It will feel as if both of you were shaped by similar shadows and guided by similar light, preparing you to meet at precisely this moment in your development. This connection will not feel like something you need to chase, control, or force. It unfolds with a naturalness that may even unsettle you because it feels different from anything you have known. You will notice how easily barriers dissolve, how quickly trust forms, and how deeply you are willing to reveal parts of yourself that you once kept hidden. This willingness does not stem from impulse but from recognition. There is a sense that this person understands you not because you explain yourself well, but because your inner worlds align in ways that are rare and difficult to articulate. It is as if the unconscious has opened a door, allowing both of you to step into a shared psychological field where you can communicate with clarity and authenticity. Your emotional intuition becomes heightened around this connection. You may sense their energy before they enter the room, feel their mood before they speak, or anticipate their thoughts without effort. This is not imagination but resonance, a blending of inner frequencies that occurs when two individuals align at a deep psychological level. You may experience dreams about them, flashes of insight involving them, or moments where you think of them at the exact same time they reach out. These experiences are not meant to confuse you but to reveal the invisible threads of connection woven between your unconscious and theirs. Other people may not understand the depth of this bond because it does not follow the traditional markers of compatibility that the external world values. What holds the two of you together is not logic, but alignment, not convenience, but recognition. This is what gives the connection its sense of destiny. Destiny is not fate in the sense of predetermination. It is the moment when two paths that have been forming individually finally intersect, because both souls have reached a level of psychological maturity that allows them to meet fully. It is the merging of two internal journeys that were never meant to remain separate. As this relationship deepens, you will realize that it is not simply about affection or attraction, but about awakening. The presence of this person activates dormant parts of you that you long ignored or underestimated. They mirror your strengths, challenge your blind spots, and hold space for your transformation in ways that feel both unsettling and healing. You may feel as though you are remembering aspects of yourself through them, discovering new layers of identity that only become visible through a connection of this magnitude. The bond becomes a catalyst for growth, not because either of you demands it, but because the psychological resonance between you naturally invites it. Your unconscious will guide you through this process, offering insights, instinct, and inner nudges that help you navigate the unfolding connection. You may find yourself understanding them intuitively, recognizing their emotional patterns with ease, or feeling a sense of purpose in the relationship that transcends personal desire. This is because the relationship serves not only as an emotional experience, but as a symbolic one. A meeting of two inner worlds that have been shaped by parallel transformation. It is a union that feels larger than the individuals involved, as if it carries a quality of inevitability that neither of you can fully explain. The deeper this bond grows, the more you will sense that it is guided by something beyond conscious will, something rooted in the unseen realms of the psyche where intuition, memory, and desire intertwine. It is in this realm that the feeling of destiny arises, a quiet certainty that this person is not just another chapter in your story, but a turning point, a reflection, a catalyst, and a companion whose presence aligns with the deepest truths of who you are becoming. This relationship will shock others because it reflects a version of you they have not yet witnessed or understood, a version that has been forming quietly within you. While the world continued to see only the outlines of who you used to be, people often form fixed images of others, shaped by memory, expectation, or the limited glimpses they have seen, and they rarely notice the silent transformations taking place beneath the surface. Your growth has been inward, psychological, and profound, occurring in depths where most people never look. While you have been evolving, integrating your shadows, releasing outdated patterns, and learning to understand yourself with greater clarity, others have remained unaware of the internal revolutions reshaping your identity. This is why the relationship that enters your life next will seem startling to those around you. It mirrors a self they do not recognize, a self you have quietly become without announcing your transformation to the world. People expect you to repeat familiar patterns because that is the version of you they have catalogued in their minds. They assume you will choose the same kind of partners, respond with the same emotional habits, or settle for the same dynamics that once defined your relationships. They base these assumptions not on who you are today, but on who you were months or even years ago. They remember your insecurities, your vulnerabilities, your hesitations, your old wounds, and they believe these elements still guide your choices. What they do not see is that you have moved far beyond those versions of yourself. You have outgrown cycles that once held you captive, learned lessons that altered your entire emotional landscape, and awakened to a deeper understanding of what you truly desire and deserve. This new relationship reveals these internal changes in a way that becomes impossible for others to ignore. As you step into this connection, people will witness a different energy rising within you, a confidence that does not come from external validation but from self-recognition. The person you are becoming is not driven by fear, scarcity, or repetition, but by intuition, inner strength, and clarity. You carry yourself differently, speak differently, and connect differently because the emotional foundation from which you operate has been rebuilt from the inside. Your capacity to love, to receive, to trust, and to allow vulnerability has expanded, not because someone taught you how to do it, but because you learned how to meet yourself at a deeper psychological level. This growth naturally manifests in your relationship choices, and the connection you form will reflect this inner evolution with striking accuracy. Others may be shocked not because of the person you choose, but because of the version of yourself that emerges within the relationship. You may express parts of your personality that were once dormant, hidden, or suppressed. You may show strength they never knew you possessed, gentleness they never saw, boundary they did not expect, or emotional depth they never imagined was within you. You may carry yourself with a sense of alignment that makes it clear you are no longer navigating love from confusion but from consciousness. This emerging self challenges the outdated narratives others hold about you, forcing them to confront the reality that you have grown in ways they never witnessed. The relationship itself will reflect this internal maturity because it will not resemble the connections you used to form. It will carry a sense of balance, emotional grounding, and psychological resonance that is rare, and people around you may struggle to understand how such a connection came into your life so effortlessly. They may wonder how you attracted someone so aligned, so attuned, or so deeply connected to who you are becoming. What they fail to realize is that your inner transformation reorganized your emotional world long before this person appeared. You did not simply meet them, you prepared for them without knowing you were preparing. You shaped yourself into a person who could recognize, nurture, and sustain a connection of this depth, and the relationship becomes a visible expression of that inner readiness. Many people underestimate the power of inner work because it leaves no obvious traces. When you heal, integrate your shadow, or break a psychological pattern, there is no external celebration, no public acknowledgement, no immediate transformation for others to see. Yet this inner work changes the energy you emit, the boundaries you set, the choices you make, and the connections you allow into your life. It reshapes the field of relationships around you, filtering out those who align with your former self and inviting in those who resonate with your evolving identity. This is why others will be surprised they did not witness the countless internal shifts that brought you to this point. The relationship will also make it clear that you are no longer operating from emotional survival but from emotional awareness. Instead of clinging, you connect. Instead of chasing, you attract. Instead of settling, you choose. Instead of repeating, you reinvent. These shifts are powerful and visible, and they challenge the assumptions others have held about you for years. To the outside world, it may look as though you have suddenly transformed, but the truth is that your transformation has been unfolding quietly in the private chambers of your psyche, preparing you for a connection that matches your inner growth. People may question how this relationship materialized so unexpectedly, how someone so deeply aligned with you appeared at what seemed like the perfect moment, or how you transitioned from old emotional cycles into a connection that looks effortless and natural. They may attribute it to luck, timing, or coincidence, but you will know that it is none of these things. It is the result of your inner evolution reaching a point where the external world could finally match your internal state. You did not stumble into this relationship. You became the kind of person who could receive it. This connection will reflect parts of you that others never noticed, parts you may have kept hidden because you sensed the world was not ready to understand them. With this person, those hidden aspects emerge naturally, without self-consciousness or hesitation. You become more authentic, more expressive, more aligned, and this authenticity may surprise those who thought they knew you well. They will see you stepping into emotional spaces that once intimidated you, expressing truths you once held back, and embracing a version of yourself that feels expansive and liberated. The shock others will feel is not a reflection of the relationship itself, but of the gap between who they believe you are and who you have become. This connection reveals your evolution in real time, bringing forth your depth, your intuition, your emotional intelligence, and your capacity for genuine intimacy. It shows that you are no longer confined by old roles, old wounds, or old narratives. The relationship becomes a mirror not only for your partner but for the world, reflecting a self that has long been waiting to emerge, a self that is now ready to be seen because you are ready to live from your truth. The union will awaken dormant parts of your psyche, creating a transformative bond that reshapes both your inner world and your life path, because the person entering your life will not simply be a companion but a catalyst, someone whose presence stirs the deeper layers of your being where forgotten desires, unexpressed truths, and unintegrated shadows have been waiting for recognition. This awakening is not forceful but natural, arising from the psychological resonance between two individuals who mirror each other's depths in ways that go beyond conscious understanding. There are encounters that trigger temporary emotions, and then there are connections that reach inward, touching the places inside you that have remained untouched by previous relationships. This union belongs to the latter. It moves through the layers of your psyche with quiet precision, revealing aspects of your identity you may have never fully acknowledged, prompting an inner unfolding that feels both unsettling and deeply meaningful. When such a bond enters your life, It begins by illuminating the emotional spaces you once left unexamined. You may find yourself understanding patterns that once confused you, seeing motivations behind your own action that you previously overlooked, or recognizing wounds that you have carried for years without naming them. The presence of this person acts as a mirror that reflects not only your strengths but also your vulnerabilities, not to expose them harshly, but to offer them the chance to evolve. This kind of awakening is subtle at first, arriving in moments of unexpected clarity, moments where a simple conversation or shared silence reveals something profound about who you are and who you are becoming. The relationship begins to function like an inner compass, directing your attention toward the parts of your psyche that are ready to grow, heal, or emerge. As the bond deepens, you may experience an emotional expansiveness that feels entirely new, as if a hidden chamber within you has opened, allowing feelings you once suppressed to rise to the surface. These emotions are not chaotic but illuminating, helping you understand yourself with a level of intimacy that was previously inaccessible. You may feel a heightened sense of intuition around this person, sensing their thoughts, emotions, or intention with uncanny clarity, because the connection reaches a level where communication transcends words. This intuitive exchange awakens psychological capacities within you that may have remained dormant until now, such as the ability to empathize more deeply, to perceive subtle energies, or to understand the patterns unfolding in your own life with greater coherence. This union does not only bring emotional awakening, it also stimulates intellectual and spiritual growth. You may find your beliefs shifting, your worldview expanding, or your sense of purpose becoming clearer as you engage with a partner who challenges you in ways that feel constructive and meaningful. Their presence encourages you to question the limitations you once accepted, to re-examine assumptions that shaped your identity, and to redefine the boundaries of what you believe is possible for your life. This is not because they impose their ideas on you, but because the connection itself activates a deeper curiosity within you, inspiring you to explore parts of your psyche that were previously untouched by conscious thought. These explorations lead to revelations about your potential, your desires, and the direction your life is meant to take next. In relationships of profound psychological resonance, growth often emerges through contrast as well as harmony. You may find that the bond brings forth emotional triggers, memories, or insecurities that you thought you had resolved. Instead of destabilizing the connection, these moments become opportunities for transformation. Because the relationship is rooted in authenticity, you feel safe enough to confront these inner disturbances without retreating or shutting down. The presence of this person gives you the courage to explore your own shadow, not as flaws but as integral elements of your psyche seeking integration. The process of facing these parts of yourself becomes less frightening and more liberating as you realize that the relationship is not threatened by your vulnerability but strengthened by it. This awakening can also shift the direction of your life in profound ways. You may discover new passions, new ambitions, or new callings that arise from the psychological synergy between you and your partner. The connection acts like a spark that ignites creativity, motivation, or inner clarity, making you aware of possibilities that once felt distant or impossible. You may find yourself drawn toward pursuits that align more closely with your authentic self, whether they relate to career, lifestyle, personal growth, or the way you envision your future. The union does not impose these changes. It reveals them, shining light on desires and potentials that were waiting beneath the surface of your everyday consciousness. As you experience this transformation, others may notice shifts in your behavior, your confidence, or the way you carry yourself. This is because the union supports the emergence of your true self, not the version shaped by fears or expectations, but the version shaped by psychological authenticity and inner integration. Your voice becomes clearer, your boundaries stronger, and your emotional presence more grounded, because the relationship creates an environment where you do not feel compelled to hide any part of your identity. This sense of inner permission allows your dormant strengths to rise, strengths that were always part of you but needed the right relational dynamic to awaken fully. In many ways, the union becomes a psychological crucible, a space in which both individuals are transformed through their connection with one another. You may notice that your partner undergoes a similar awakening, as if the bond activates dormant capacities within them, just as it does within you. This mutual transformation creates a sense of shared destiny, a feeling that the relationship is not merely an emotional experience, but a path of growth, discovery, and self-realization for both of you. This shared awakening deepens the bond further, creating a cycle of mutual evolution that feels both profound and natural. This type of connection often brings an increased sense of alignment with your life path. You begin to understand that your previous relationships, challenges, and emotional struggle were not random events but stepping stones guiding you toward this union. As you awaken to your deeper self through the bond, you may feel a renewed sense of purpose or clarity about what you are meant to contribute to the world. The relationship becomes not only a source of emotional fulfillment, but a source of psychological coherence, helping you integrate the different parts of your life into a more unified and meaningful whole. The awakening brought by this union also deepens your capacity for love, not in a superficial or naive way, but in a grounded, mature, and expansive way. You develop the ability to hold both joy and vulnerability without fragmentation, to give and receive love without fear of losing yourself, and to remain present even in moments of uncertainty. This expanded capacity strengthens the relationship further, creating a bond that supports continued growth for both individuals. The connection evolves into a living psychological structure, one that holds space for transformation while maintaining emotional intimacy and trust. In time, you may look back and realize that the person you have become within this union is someone you could not have become alone. You may recognize that the partnership has activated psychological potential that were dormant, waiting for precisely this kind of connection to emerge. The transformation does not occur because the relationship demands it, but because the relationship reveals the deeper truths of your psyche, inviting you to step into them fully. This awakening becomes a defining element of your journey, shaping not only your emotional life, but the path you walk forward from here.